Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We are gonna crack on with the 4.6 build. So that's putting cylinder on and stuff like that. We've got, and I've called this 4.6, I'm calling him Frank because he's a bit of a Frankenstein. He's a conglomeration of just old parts and bits and pieces, and he's gonna have a brand new cylinder on him, piston though. It's a Hutzel. I've never tried a Hutzel piston cylinder before. I don't really know what they're like. I've seen lots of other chainsaw YouTubers using this gear and seems to run alright. I don't know what it would be like for a full-time work saw though. I imagine it might not last, but my saws aren't full-time work saws. That's not what I do. I'll crack them out on the weekend every now and then and use them. Mainly I'm building saws and fixing saws and rather than using saws, but I love using saws as well. And speaking of that, I'll just grab you out of the rack and I'll take you and show you something first. Just as a little teaser, here we go. This is out the front here, well, at the front of our place anyway. Over in here is where my new shed's going to go, so in there. But if you can see that big leaner up there, that's coming out next weekend on Saturday, so I'm going to try and get some of that on film. It's going to be a big mission. It's about a 30 metre tree, 20 to 30 metre tree, so she's it's not small by any means. So yeah, that's what we're up to there. And oh, this is the stillness, and oh, these boxes here, before we go on, they are full of chainsaws, and I've been looking through them. They're just parts, so I'm looking through them, and we can make I can make a top handle, so a 200T or a 02 OT out of them, and also a Husqvarna 562 XP is in here as well. So I mean, not that I like building Huskies, I freaking hate it, but that can be a good one to build and sell off so that I can buy some more Stihl gear, I reckon. Anyway, we'll crack on with this build, which is really what this video is about. Right. Sorry, just positioning the camera there a bit. So here we go. We've got Frank in the vise here, and we're going to get this Hutzel in there. It's all nice and new. As you can see, it's very shiny. Good thing to do with these Hutzels is to just have a bit of a feel around in here and see if you can detect any bad lipping on the transfers and things like that. Sometimes because fuel and air doesn't flow over a 90-degree angle, so if it's got a ridge that's sticking up inside these transfer ports here, you're not going to have that efficient fuel flow over. But these are all smooth, transfers are all smooth in this one. And I feel in the exhaust port, it's all smooth, got no ridges stopping that fuel and everything in there. Just needs a blowout actually. Right, so it's good to go. So yeah, those are the things to check for. You can get a Dremel and a bit in the Dremel to just trim down those if you find any of those ridges and stuff. That are actually getting better with how they make things. Like, that used to be fairly tragic back in the day from what I understand, but like I said, I've never used those Hutzel cylinders and things like that. I have built them before, and I have a mate who I did a 404 build for. It was a complete Hutzel build. It gets thrashed, it runs all the time, it takes down big trees, it's always rocking a 25-inch bar, and it does really well. And he hasn't been back yet, so yeah, the only thing like that is the AV mounts, which like so this is a Hutzel AV mount. They're really crappy. They don't stop the vibration at all. They're just like, you can feel the difference. That's so much more stiffer, and this is a Stihl one. Look how malleable it is compared to the Hutzel stuff. It's just, I have to press that quite hard to get it to do that, whereas the Stihl is just an easy pinch, you know. So anyway, interesting, but we'll push on with the video. Rattling on about all sorts of things now. So one of the first things to do, because remember I put this case together before I moved out here. So one of the first things to do is when you've put those cases together, is to, these little tabs are in here from the build, from the gasket. So we're just going to trim those off. So to trim those off, I'll just get me a little blade like this and just reach in there. Sorry, it's down in here where the cases meet. Just reach in there and slice those clean. So you can see just a little bit of gasket come off the top there, to make sure those are as flush as you possibly can get them. And this is part of the reason why I believe in putting some gasket maker on the bottom of this before you put your piston cylinder gasket on, just because, so you can see I sliced off the next one. It's just it's gone. So they're so tiny, but they'll just help you build that nice even surface. It's actually a bit of gunk formed on the top of here. Let's scrape that off. Notice I'm scraping away from the cylinder just so nothing goes in there. It's all nice and clean in there. I've kept a rag on there so no debris and stuff like that. And it was a clean rag as well, so no debris can get in there. So now those are sliced off. Next thing I've got to do is put the gasket maker on, and then the gasket before I put the piston on, because from memory, where is my gasket gone? I had a gasket, oh here we go. This is gasket here. This is a highway gasket set. Yeah, from one of my other builds. It's got a heat shield in it. Comes with it. It gets heat shield, and it gets the two seals. So the flywheel side and the PTO side. You get your muffler gasket, heat shield, and your main crank gasket as well. Your cases gasket. So all that comes in. You can buy that from Hutzel online. So not Hutzel, Highway. Highway. These are highway gaskets. So we'll just get that out of there. Aftermarket these are. Never found anything really wrong with the highway stuff. It's really good. Their cylinders and stuff are good, but who's better for cylinders is Meteor. Meteor, I believe, are a next level up again. So I would go in order of if you're talking aftermarket stuff. Hutzel's definitely the lowest. They're a bottom rung. Then you got Highway, and then you got Meteor. I don't know how much parts and stuff Meteor actually do for saws, like what Hutzel do, crankcases and everything like that. But Highway don't do crankcases. They do more the piston cylinder stuff for these builds. But anyway, that's how I sort of rate them. If you're talking cylinder and piston and stuff like that. So these are, see this is really hard, you can't get this down. Okay, so this is the gasket for it, fits beautifully, but you need to put it on first before you put that piston on. It's one, most saws you can actually get the gasket down over that piston once it's on there, but not the 4.6s, and I'm not 100% sure on the reason of that, but anyway. So these gaskets, I'm going to put some gasket maker on soon, but these gaskets have a depression in them, okay, and that depression in here, so you can see it, yeah, that depression, that faces up, so you should be looking at that depression. Okay, if you've got it up this side, so you can see this, so you see this raised edge, that you shouldn't be looking at that. This needs to go, the raised edge needs to go down on the saw, so you're looking at the depression. Now what happens is when you put this the cylinder on top of this and crank down on it, this all flattens out, so it squishes down and flattens out and forms a really good seal. That's part of the reason why they do that. It doesn't necessarily mean that an old gasket that you get off saw is a throwaway. Okay, you have to make a bit of a judgment call on that, and that's also part of the reason why I put the gasket goo on here, just because it's that extra insurance, especially if you're dealing with an older gasket. If you can though, new gaskets are always going to be better. No question about that. Alright, so we can pretty much go ahead with this now. Put that on, I've got my bolts ready, piston, cylinder ready. What else do I need? Got my gasket. And that is about it for this stage. And after that we can chuck the heat shield on, I think. We'll do that. Heat shield's not a major, but hey, good to have it on. No problems there. So I'm just going to put some of this gasket goo on. Alright, we're in. And I use the oh, don't know if you can see it there. It's Permatex Ultra Black. I've seen it on heaps of my videos. And so I'll just paste that on there. You want to keep it out of the inside of the crankcase. Okay, that's not where you want this stuff. So just be careful. If I get any overlap in there, like large overlap, like that one's a bit, I'll just wipe it out, or make sure I get it out anyway. Wipe it out either with a rag or just take it off with my finger. Because you don't want to, basically remember whatever's floating around inside your piston cylinder area is going to end up in your carb, and you don't want this stuff ending up in your carb. Why does it end up in your carb? Because of the impulse line, which is here. Okay, it comes from inside the cylinder, that drives the carb, and so you don't want this rubber stuff floating around, breaking off, floating around and going up into your piston cylinder area. And I just like to stipple it, so I just dab it around with my finger. This stuff goes on wet, guys. What I mean by that is, of course it's wet now, but its preferred method of setting is not to wait till it's dry until you put your cylinder and piston down. So the very important next step is one I usually forget and end up having to take the piston off again, is putting this gasket on. So we're doing that now. And I've got the depression face up to me. And just set it on there, line it up with the gasket, with the holes. And that gasket glue will sort of hold it in place a little bit for you there as well while you're mucking around, getting your piston and cylinder on. Okay, so what have we got here? I'll just take out this gudgeon pin because it has to come out. Right, and apart from your gudgeon clip pin, you will need this. And it's a needle cage bearing, and that's what fits up inside your piston cylinder, oh sorry, your piston there, okay? Now, which way does this go around? On all pistons, all right, there are pins. So you can see one there, and then one here. And those pins, the rings meet up to them, but those pins are always at the rear of the saw, or what I call the rear, which is your intake. Okay, so it's your intake side of your piston, which is that. Okay, so that's your exhaust port, and that's your intake side. So those always sit that way. There is no other way for them to sit. So now we can, I'm just going to lift this crank out of here, turn it around a bit. Okay, there we go. So that goes up there like that, sit up a bit, and we will put this in here. Let's put the needle cage in there. Actually, I'll just lube that up a bit with a bit of two-stroke. I used to use the lithium grease, and then one of my subscribers said don't do that, just use two-stroke, otherwise it's going to carb up your piston cylinder area too much. And I had to think about it, and I decided that that was a good call by him. I can't remember his name. If I do, I'll give him a shout out. But yeah, so two-stroke oil makes sense to me, and what I was doing before doesn't. So please don't use that lithium grease inside your pistons and cylinders anymore if you're doing that. Okay. All about learning, all about progressing. The other thing I'm doing with Frank is, you can see these clips have a little these gudgeon clips in here have a little tag on them. Usually they don't. That's a Hutzel thing. I think it's to make it easier for people to put it together. Always people say they're bad and they fly out. Well, you know what? Let's see if they do. Let's see how well Frank does with those in there. As I say, Frank's an experimental saw. Having fun building it, but I'm at the same time wanting to experiment a bit. So what I do is I always like to work from the flywheel side of the saw. If I can adjust it down a bit further. It's not working. I need a new camera thingy. It's just falling over. No, it's just falling over. Stay. Oh my goodness. I need a new camera holder. Okay, that's not too bad. Probably where we were before. But so I like to work from this side of the saw to put everything in. It's easier, you're not blocked by this stuff. So always put that clip in there on that side, on the PTO side, and then put that down and slide that gudgeon pin through. Ah, come on. That's so frustrating. Sorry guys. There you go, stay. So that'll just go through there. Sometimes to find home, let's give them a little tap. Yep. Little tap. Gentle tap. Pliers will just push the rest of it through. Actually, on this one you can use the old Stihl hex. Here is a great size to push that in with. And then you get your other clip, which is here. Get your other clip, which is here, and you can just rotate that in. Rotate that in to the piston there, and then turn that clip so it's sitting at the top. Okay, that little tag bit, so it's sitting at the top. They reckon that's the best place, or so I've heard from other YouTubers. That's the best place for that to sit. So now we're on to putting our cylinder on. So what we want to do here is more two-stroke. And you've seen me do this tons of times before on other videos. So the two-stroke goes round, and you want that in there so that that is lubing everything, so we don't get that metal on metal scraping deal going. Okay, lube all that up nice around those rings, and everything should just slip into place quite nicely. And then make sure that the gaps in the rings are sitting properly on those pins, and then you can from there start to squeeze them on up into the cylinder. Sometimes I use my little screwdriver to help me push them in. I really should get a ring compressor set. That would be great. Until I do. That's how I just fiddle around with them like this until they go in. One side down. Okay, it's going down now. Be a little bit careful because you can break the ring. So I got the first ring in. Usually, but not always, the second ring goes in easier. Just sort of working it around as it's sliding and slipping all over the show. And it's down, it's in. But a ring compressor set would make life a lot easier, that's for sure. But that's right in there now. These are 4 of the larger T27s. I'll just slot them in there. Then hand tighten these down. Don't ever use a drill or anything like that. That's a bit unnecessary. Go from diagonal side to diagonal side, of course. Oh, is that one too small? I think that back one's too small. Grabbed it. Oh, and that one too. Okay, I'll grab screws that are too small there. I don't know why I did that. Or how I did that. Thought I had the same size. Yes, they are too small. Front ones are okay. I'll just grab some other ones. Sorry. So I'll just grab some other ones and put them in there. There. So that's better. What the? Is that one too small? That one's not. Oh man, sorry guys, I've really stuffed up here. I've got all the screws that are too small except for one. That's actually cutting. I don't know where I've put the sort of screws in. Take that one out. I'll just lift this up. Now I have to search for some screws. Well, that wasn't what I wanted. Okay, so where are my screws now? You're good. You're not. You're not. And you're not. screws. Right, those are too big. Those are crankcase screws. That's too small as well. So that means that's too long as well. I think these will be too long. We'll bottom out. Might be right. Sorry, just looking through parts, guys. Okay, so I got new screws. They're in thicker. I think these are actually crankcase screws, but they'll do. See, they're quite a lot bigger, quite a lot fatter. They should be a bit shorter. I don't think they'll bottom out. But so that's what I'm supposed to be using. I don't know how I came up with what I did before. I thought I'd tested them all and they were working. Apparently not. Anyway, have to put this cylinder back down now. That's okay, a bit of back and forth. And it'll all fit in. There we go, down again. Put these bolts in. Let's lift it up a little bit. Let's get some of these in. These front ones can be a bit difficult. Slide that back down now. Okay, that's all sitting down. Right, back to where we were before. Getting these in. Come on. It's not going on to my... Right, try this front one. Go just about down. Yeah, and that's not a very good fit at the back there. I wonder if it's something to do with it being a big bore or just being a Hutzel. Just back this other screw off a bit. It's just struggling to get over a fin. It's there. Some of the, yeah, it just must be because it's a Hutzel. Either that or it's big bore and it's slightly bigger. I don't know. But that'll all go down now. Here we go, alright. Is this one gonna go? Yes. We're all going down. Oh, someone's starting up a saw. Just come and get it. Won't be. The other thing I do here is just make sure that the piston is right at bottom dead center, which it is, and it just helps to align that piston or that cylinder as it goes down. So I'll just lock this off here and we can start cranking it down. And that cross pattern again. You can hear that gasket goo spewing out as it goes down. Well, not spewing out, but popping, and because there's not a lot of it on there. And that gasket will compress down nicely. Man, I don't know how I got in that situation with the screws. These are working beautifully though. Frank will like it. Frank will like it. Alright. They're all original Stihl bolts, screws, whatever you want to call them, T27s. Alright, that's down as much as it's going to go. As much as it's going to go. Now, I'm just going to put the key in the flywheel side of the crank. Flywheel on there and use it to turn it. Oh, I just dropped the key. Just because I like to see how it's all feeling. Flywheel on there. There we go. Oh yeah. It's even got the Hutzel decomp in there. Apparently those things are terrible, those Hutzel decomps. Like terrible. Do I want to experiment with it? Do I want to? Take it out and have a look at it. Never thought about this before. Apparently the Husky decomps are even better. Yeah, I know that's a swear word. Than the Stihl ones. Oh, this is terrible. This doesn't even seal off properly. Like, it's really bad. So that could straight away be a problem to cause it not to run. So if it's sealed properly, like you have to force it up into there and it's still not going to sit right. So this is going bye-bye. Just from the fact that the saw won't be able to start properly. Do I have another decomp? I don't need a decomp on this saw. Don't need one, but it's a nice to have. I might have to do something that's a little bit sacrilege, I think. So this is a Husky 346 XP. Something I may get going eventually, provided that's the right size. Okay, that's going to be great. Just clean that off. Get very clean. Husky parts on a Stihl. How I feel about this. They do say the decomps are better. And that actually seals properly. It doesn't move around in there. I don't know if you could see it, but like, see that? You can see how it wobbles? And it's got gaps all around it. That's the Hutzel one, right? Now here's the Husky one. I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to wobble it around, and it's just, you can see it's turning, but like, yeah, it's just not going to cause problems like that other one is. And I don't want problems starting the saw. I could blank it off. But I do like to, I've only got one blank at the moment, and I do like to keep that one blank for pressure testing, because if you pressure test a saw, you've got to always make sure that you take out the decomp, because the decomps can leak a little bit. But that other Hutzel one, that will just, that's like a sieve, you know, that thing. So here we go with this one. Let's see if you work. Should do. Where did I put my scrunch? Always like using the 13mm end of the scrunch to get these in and out with. Really good. So Frank is really a monster now. He's got a husky part in him. Sorry, Frank. You'll be alright, buddy. You'll be alright. If you go good, we'll get you a nice still one day. And so yeah, there's our big bore on there. 4.6 big bore. Pretty cool. Stoked about that. Now, I said I'd put that the heat guard on there. Okay, so I'm just going to turn it this way, a little bit like this, yeah. So what I do for putting the heat guards on is, again, I get the razor and I go in and trim that gasket down. Because that's sticking up from the build. If I'm not putting a heat shield on, normally I don't worry about this sort of thing. But I am. So that just gets all cut out there. I'm just going to put some brake clean on there just to make sure that that's fully degreased in there. Should be. These are clean cranks. It always pays. Blow out there. Right, and here's the heat shielding. I always stuff these up, so probably we'll do the same on this one. But I think it's good to do that. Stop your bar lube from boiling. Flick that heat up into the muffler. So that just fits up into there like that. So you can see that sort of that shape to it. It's all sticky. I just peeled it off its backing. And so this is the muffler side here. How it comes out, and it's got that sort of large indentation area in there. Well, that's where that goes, up in that area. And I'll just use the back of this blunt side of the pick there to push it into the areas that it needs to go into, just to make sure it sits nicely and everywhere. For the heat shielding. Right, knife, quick little slice in here, so I can fold it around the corner. I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but that's the way I do it. And then this actually overlaps on one of the muffler screw holes, so take all that off as well. Probably not the right way to do it, but hey, there's heat shielding in there. Now, so I'll just grab you guys off here, flip it around, so you can see the heat shielding all pressed in there. See our gasket go, squishing out of there with the gasket on it. Nice shiny cylinder inside. And that's it, we're all done for that part of the saw. From there we can go on, do flywheels, we can do clutch sides of the saw, fuel tank, lots of goodies to do and build on Frank in the future. And he will love that. Oh yeah. And you got some bling, it's like Frank's bling. There you go. So guys, thanks for watching. And we'll be back with some more to do on Frank. There's lots more parts to go on, lots more of the build to do. And we'll see Frank running at some stage as well. And as I said, next weekend, that big tree's coming down. So we're going to take down that tree, and hopefully I'll get some of it on camera so that I can show you guys. Probably have 4.6 going, 6.6, just try and use all my saws, and might have a battery toppy going, maybe even my Azeto toppy up the tree. Who knows? It could all be cranking. But yeah, anyway, enough babbling from me. We will catch you guys on the next one, and stay still for life. See you guys.